Hello, Western Heights friends and family. Those of you that know me probably have met my wife, and if you've met my wife, you have probably learned one undeniable fact, is that she's better than me, and most everything. But one I want to highlight is that she is an insanely good cook. I can cook, but she's really good. And she can cook a lot of different things, but one of my favorites is bread. She'll make a sandwich bread, and she'll make a sourdough bread, or maybe it's our pizza dough, or just she's got some fancy breads even. And I love when she makes bread. I grew up around bread. My mom is a really good bread cook. I mean, she would experiment on different recipes, and it was always fun to we had like a 5-star rating system of whether we wanted to repeat that bread or not. And such a joy to have that memory and think about the breads. I bring this up because there's a passage in Leviticus 2 that says this: when anyone brings a grain offering to the Lord, their offering is to be of the finest flour. They are to put olive oil on it and put incense on it. Now, most bread is pretty simple on its recipe. I mean, really some basic ingredients. There's flour, and there's salt, and there's maybe a rising agent and those things. But even within those basic ingredients, there's variant. Take flour, for instance. Most of what I've known and most of what I see is all-purpose flour. Which all-purpose flour should be used or could be used for all purposes, hence the name. But there's also a flour called bread flour, and we've realized that that is even better in breads, hence the name. So when God says, I want you to bring a grain offering, and I want you to make this grain offering of the finest flour. For us, that might simply mean we go to the store, we buy the bread flour, we take our recipe, we mix it all together, put it in the pan, cook it, and then we're done. But in their time, how they made their bread was they started with planting seeds. They would plant the seeds, and they would grow the crop. They would cultivate it, they would harvest it, and then they would mill it. They would crush it down to the flour. And then they would sort the flour and find the finest flour of the batch. And then from that finest flour, after months of toil and labor, they would take the finest flour, they would make that wonderful piece of bread, and then they would go give it away. They would give it to the Lord. Now, the purpose of the grain offering in this was not so that they received anything. No accolades, no recognition. It was to honor and worship God as the provider. That was the purpose of the grain offering. To recognize God as the one who provides. Now think about that for a second. I wonder if any of the Israelites, after making the bread, thought to themselves, look at what I have made. Look at what I have prepared. Look at what I have provided. The reason I wonder if they asked that is because this is the question we ask. It's the thought that we have. You see, whenever we talk about the breadwinner of the family, we often talk about the one who provides for the family, the one who makes the income so that the family can be sustained, can have bread on their table. And we think of that with pride of what we or I have accomplished. And the grain offering was one of the ways that God had it in store for them to recognize you may put months of labor, you may put your toil into this and your blood, sweat, and tears, but it is still the Lord who provides. He provides everything. Whenever I think about that for our modern context, it's clearly so much more than bread. You see, we are provided so much. And you may not think it's that much in comparison to others, but let's just take what you are provided. Maybe it's a monthly paycheck. Maybe it's a weekly paycheck. Maybe it's an hourly that you're just hoping to get paid for a job. The thing is, you are given provision for the work that you have done, no doubt. But are you honoring God with what He has provided? Are you taking the opportunity to take what you've provided and to give it to the Lord in worship to Him, to say thank you for the provision you have given me. I'm not fully sure what that needs to look like for you and your family, but I do know that God will be honored when you worship Him for providing everything that you have. So may you be blessed, and may you recognize your blessing and give it back to the Lord. Love you guys. Hope you have a great weekend.